The video preceding this one on the possible fracture of the U.S. military got a lot of views. It got a lot of folks thinking as well. And that was my intent. Hit the subscribe and like buttons if you find any value here. And stay through my monologue to the end, and you'll hear me admit that I am uncomfortable in my argument. Sometimes things just can't be reconciled. The USA invading Canada and Greenland? I'll take a look at that too. In part one, I said if there is a fracture in the U.S. military, they will be held to pay. I don't think such a fracture is close, but it wouldn't take much if a competent fascist were put in the White House, one who could distract in a less clownish way as they amassed power. I did say he, if a woman fit that description, would be in some alternate universe. The generals and soldiers in the German army swore an oath to Hitler. This replaced their oath to the German Constitution. The Navy also swore to obey the orders of the Führer Adolf Hitler. This was on August 2nd of 1934. On March 7 of 1936, with only orders from Hitler, 3,000 German troops occupied the Rhineland. That area was by treaty strictly demilitarized. The Reichstag, the legislative branch of the government, had no input to this breaching of a treaty. Also in 1936, Hitler ordered Air Force and Army units to Spain to help Francisco Franco. With U.S. help, Franco would set a record for dictators. So the personal whims of one man, Hitler, moved the world toward war. In part one of the video, I said a rift in the military would be terrible for the country. I got comments suggesting it was better that someone in the military stand up and say what Major Watson said. It caused him his career. He's seen as a hero by some. Military vets have a better understanding of my point. I commented elsewhere that he should have retired, then fought the good fight against a fascist executive and an impotent Congress. Trump has said, I want generals like Hitler had. He wants a military that follows his orders without limit, like the limits the Constitution and law place on service members when their oath is to the Constitution and not to him. Trump has said he wants Canada. He said it often enough that the Canadians believe him. Denmark, too, takes seriously his wanting to control the territory they defend, Greenland. Would the military invade either without Congress exercising their constitutional role of declaring war? Or have we landed in an age where changing the name of war makes it something else? Shades of Newspeak in Orwell's 1984. This recent disaster in Iran had another name, had several. So we are already in this situation. Hitler sent troops and agents into Austria in March of 1938, claiming the country was in anarchy and that ethnic Germans were being mistreated. Would the U.S. military obey an order to invade Canada or Greenland? The takeover of Venezuela and installation of a puppet was easy. The country was a basket case already. Not so easy with Canada and Greenland. Would you be in favor of U.S. military officers refusing orders to cross into Canada by force? This is where it's hard for me to argue as I do. The U.S. has had rational commanders-in-chief for so long that we never had to consider this situation. No, we don't want the military to decide on the legality of orders. When that happens, the military is broken. You can't serve two masters. The president and the Constitution are those masters. The enemy isn't going to wait while you decide. On September 25th of 2025, the Secretary of Defense, or the Secretary of War, Hegseth, ordered all military officers of 1 star and above to appear in a large meeting room on the 30th that month. The meeting was in Quantico, Virginia. No reason was given, and in fact, nothing the strutting Secretary of War said could not have been communicated by memo. No, the message was him calling from posts around the world the generals and admirals. It was a reminder that Trump, through him, had the power over them. Hegseth has and continues to retire officers, and he and Trump consider politically tainted. Even Hitler didn't mess with the military to this extent. Stalin did, and it damn near lost the war for Russia. Stalin also put out personal loyalty above professional ability. I think the contradiction I struggle with is between two evils. I guess the best we get is the lesser evil, and both are bad. One is a fascist dictator with complete and unlimited control of the military, a military that Trump could order to invade a U.S. city and fire on its citizens. We know he'd like to. His version of the Nazi SS is testing the waters. It's called ICE. The second bad option is a military fractured by loyalty to the Constitution or to Trump. Generally, this leads to the stronger side of the schism suppressing the weaker side. I suspect Trump would win on that contest. Most military people obey orders. Countries where dictators took control with the help of the military: Italy in 1922, that was Mussolini. The Philippines in 1965 with Marcos. And most recently in Peru in 1990, Fujimori. Let's not forget Russia, St. Petersburg, Petrograd in 1917. Food shortages and led to riots and demonstrations by workers. Troops mutinied rather than obey orders to fire on the citizens. These military units then joined the protesters. Without the backing of the military, the Tsar abdicated. 5 years of civil war followed. As promised, my take on the possibility of U.S. military invading either Greenland or Canada. Not gonna happen. The military would have to change more than I can imagine happening anytime in the near future. Certainly not in the remainder of Trump's presidency. But beyond that, given another couple of turns of MAGA government and the remaking of the DoD, or the Department of War, it's hard to say. In the event, that is, tanks rolling across the border with Canada, I think U.S. citizens, vets with a military background, could give aid to Canada from behind the front lines, taking out bridges and rail lines at the border to give Canada time to organize. Terrible to consider, but not impossible. In the case of Greenland, easy to take it, but the rearguard action of Denmark and its allies would make it hard to hold. Not to mention the fifth column, people who are patriotic to a peaceful world order versus a fascist dictator in Washington. And finally, something you'll not like to hear, an order from the Trump administration, from Trump, to invade Canada or Greenland would not be an unlawful order. The military doesn't decide on political questions, and that is a political question. A hammer can be used for good or ill. It doesn't have any say in the matter, and the same with an army. Comment, agree, disagree, whatever, in the comment field. And if you like this, hit subscribe, hit the like, and have yourself a good day, please.